Hey everybody, it's Pierre and welcome back to the channel. Last video, we set up the pump and made sure that the water flow in the aquarium and the sump were perfect. Water flows from the 75-gallon sump and up to the 150-gallon display tank. It then spills into a central overflow and back down into the sump. This gives us an effective volume of 225 gallons in a 5x2 footprint. The next step was to create dividers to keep the filtration and pump areas separate from the main chamber of the sump. For the first divider, which would be on the right side of the sump, I cut out a piece of lighting diffuser, also known as egg crate, which you can buy from any hardware store or even online. I measured it to the dimensions I needed and carefully cut it and test fit it in the sump. Because the holes were too big for my needs, as you'll see later, I also attached some plastic mesh to the egg crate using some leftover twist ties I had laying around. To ensure that the divider would fit snugly against the sides of the sump, I cut out some foam and placed this along the edges. After getting it in position, I was pretty happy with how it looked and worked. I also put a divider on the far end, or left side of the sump, to keep the pump separate from the middle chamber, and as an additional place to put some filter foam. The next step was to use my favorite type of filtration media, K1, and put it in the new chamber that I just set up. As I've said many times before, K1 is perhaps the most effective filter media with regards to the amount of surface area it has for bacteria to grow and live on. When you use it as a fluidized bed, which I like to set up in all of my tanks with sumps as much as possible, you'll find that even large amount of fish can effectively be filtered very well with a relatively smaller amount of media compared to other ways. I did seed it with fish poop and filter squeezings to kickstart the cycling process. With this type of filter media, eventually, once the beneficial bacteria have colonized the media, they will become neutrally buoyant and act like a fluid, as you can see here. I did also put some fish food in as an ammonia source for the bacteria. Substrate was next. For this, I wanted to go with coal slag, also known as blasting media or blasting grit. The reason was this was a very chemically inert substance and also very cheap. I bought a few 50-pound bags for about $13.99 each at Tractor Supply Company. Now compare this price to the price of sand or gravel from your local pet store, and you'll see why this is probably the most economical way to go about this, especially if you need a lot. In this case, I need at least 150 pounds. When lifting these sacks, you also have to be careful and use proper form without twisting so that you don't hurt yourself, because they are 50 pounds each. I decided on 3 bags totaling 150 pounds of the substrate for the display tank. I dumped the bags themselves into the aquarium and cut them open underwater, as you can see. You do need to wash this stuff fairly well because of the dust that can sometimes come with it. And so I did this inside the tank directly. Looking back, I could have washed it outside or something, but I really didn't feel like moving it around any more than I had to because of how heavy it was. I had to partially fill and drain the tank repeatedly with water until I got a clear enough rinse from it. I also chose a large piece of fake wood with built-in fake plants on it to use as a centerpiece because I was going to be keeping cichlids in here, which would most likely destroy or uproot any live plants that I would put in it. Eventually, the media was cycled, and to help sustain it, I put a breeding pair of convict cichlids in the main chamber of the sump. As you know, they quickly multiply, and these guys did. They got to work spawning and pumping out about 200 or so babies. I also put a cutting of pothos in the sump to absorb waste, along with a light for it, which I mounted underneath. I added a hanging pendant light on top and then put my fish in. I also added a couple of other fake pieces of driftwood to increase the number of hiding places for the fish. I had about a dozen giant danios that would serve as dither fish in the tank, as well as the 3 Oscars, some severums, and some other assorted fish. And so I was really pleased with how this turned out and how it looks. And I think it fits perfectly in the spot I chose for it. And so that's it for our 150-gallon Starfire Aquarium build. It was truly a pleasure to show you the process from start to finish. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're not already subscribed, please do so if you enjoy the content, and give a like as well. Thanks for watching and happy fish keeping. See you next time.